All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. I want to thank Reloading Weatherby for coming back on. It's been a little bit since you've been on the channel. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing just fine. I was thinking the other day, the first time I talked to you, I think I had 300 subscribers. I think you had about 1,500. And now
Okay.
you're at like 75,000. So you're really doing good. I'm inching closer to 20,000. But
Nice.
um, I wanted to get your take today, if you got time, on kind of the current state of the rifle market, specifically bolt action rifles. And so I'm really looking today to get more of your ideas and your experience and your just honest, evaluation. If it's good or bad, that's fine. You have shot more of these than I have. And so I just kind of want to get your opinion on the current state of the market.
Well, let's just get this out of the way. I think since COVID, all companies are struggling with quality control. And so, what I was thinking, I was going to share all of the companies that I've shot bolt action rifles from. And basically, we're going to talk and we're going to rank them from the ones that have the least lemon guns, because every company makes a lemon gun and every company has quality control issues. So, how I'm going to be ranking these is the ones that seem to have the least amount of QC and lemons. Just about every company has a really good rifle, and then every company seems to have their issues. Just maybe there are a couple that I would say you're pretty safe in getting anything from them, but that's kind of how I see it.
Well said. I agree. Do you want me just to name some of these companies off, or did you want to do it in a different way?
Well, let me just give you a list of the rifle. If you're not familiar with me, the rifles that I've shot. I'm not going to talk about rifles I don't have any experience with. That's just not fair. So I made a list here, just a second. So
Okay.
some of the rifles that I have at least shot a couple times and loaded for: Savage, Weatherby, Browning, Tika, Winchester, Remington, Fierce, Seekins, and Ruger. It's a decent list. There's a couple I'm missing. I would love to try out a Sako, because I've just heard amazing things about Sakos. They're like the fancy version of a Tika. But yeah, you just want me to start ranking them? How do you want me to rank them?
So I've got that same list that you sent to me. So I'm just going to name off some of these, and then if you'll tell me where you want to rank them. So you got
Okay.
S tier being the best, C tier being the worst, and these are ones you have personal experience with.
Okay.
Let's start with one that, it's kind of tough for me. It's a personal favorite. I have a feeling I know where you're going to go, and I'm probably going to agree with you. But let's start out with Winchester.
Okay. Like I said, Winchester makes a really good rifle, but the quality control, I think, is an issue with Winchester. And I've shot some really nice Model 70 rifles, and I've shot some really picky, disappointing Model 70s. So I'm honestly going to have to put it in a B tier. So it's a good brand. Other companies just make more accurate rifles. That's kind of how I put Winchester.
So a person that I know just got a Featherlight Winchester Model 70, and
The
he's already
featherweight.
had, yeah, sorry, featherweight. He's having to send it back already. It has an issue with the safety. It's
Okay.
a 270. Um, and I've heard of several people and watched several videos where people are having the same thing you're talking about, QC issues. And even the people that get one of these new Model 70s, controlled round feed, looks good. Like you said, I agree. They're just not super accurate. Even the good ones are fair. They're not terrible, but
They're sub
I,
M away.
yeah, I have not seen one that really is a tack driver. Compared to the old pre 64 ones, a lot of them were.
Yeah, I would say stay away from the featherweight.
Gotcha.
The barrel is too light of a contour. If you just want that classic Model 70, just get the regular one. I think it's a decent rifle that you will get sub M away pretty easily.
The XPR rifle is pretty good. I have one of those. I've kind of got the same experience. It's just never been super accurate. It's not horrible, but it's just mediocre. So
Yeah.
kind of agree there. Okay, let's go on to a company I have never shot. I've never shot a Fierce. What is your experience with the Fierce rifle?
It's either hot or it's really bad. That's
Hot
been
and
my
cold?
experience. Hot and cold. Um, and with the price tag that they have on all those rifles, with them being a semi-custom company, I have to put it in the B tier. You know,
Another B. Okay.
yeah, I've seen some incredibly accurate Fierce rifles, but they really set the bar high. At least they themselves tried to set the bar high. I mean, they have guns that are guaranteed half MOA, and I've just have seen those guns. They don't do it, or they rarely do it. Um, if they just guaranteed, yeah, it's a sub MOA rifle, then I think honestly it would go up to A tier for me. Yeah, so basically my expectations for Fierce is why I put it in a B tier. Because they have such high expectations and they're not really meeting it. I'm not the only person that has complained about Fierce. Yeah, right now Fierce is in a struggle with a PR battle of like trying to fix their image of making really high quality semi-custom guns.
All right, let's move on. I'm not sure if you've heard of this company or not. They're called Weatherby. What is your views on that company currently?
Okay. I think they've had, when they moved to Wyoming and during COVID, they just have some quality control issues. But
Really?
I think I would still put them at the A tier because they have the Weatherby Vanguard line that just one of the most solid rifles you can get for the money. And then the Mark V is a really good rifle. It's very pricey, but it's a really good rifle. I've been very happy with my deluxe. I've also have shot a backcountry TI in 6.5 Creedmoor. It was very accurate and it had the smoothest bolt I've ever felt on a factory rifle. Way smoother than Tikka. And yeah, I think the Mark V is a solid rifle. It's a good rifle. It's a little pricey. And then the Vanguard is a really good rifle for the money. But again, they still have their QC issues like everyone else. So I've got to put it in an A tier.
What about the 307?
I have no experience with it.
Okay. I've kind of heard some bad things about the 307, but I don't think it's everybody. I think it's kind of hot or cold, kind of like you mentioned.
Yeah.
I recently shot a 375 H&H in a Mark V Deluxe, and it was really awesome. Really like shooting that rifle. And I have shot the Vanguards before, so they are good. But so you put that in what tier?
A tier.
A tier. Okay.
If they can figure out their quality control issues, I would be more than willing to be a fanboy and put it in the S tier. But as of right now, I can't.
What about Remington?
The only Remingtons I've shot were a rifle that's probably 15 years old, and then a newer, really cheap Remington 783, I believe. It's an okay rifle. I think a lot more crap than what it deserves. But with that being said, I just have not been impressed with the newer Remington rifles. So I got to put it in the C tier as one of the bottom tiers. Just
C tier. Ooh.
Yeah, Remington's the C tier. It's not there yet, what it used to be.
The old ones, like that one I have from the 70s, is fantastic. And then they just kind of went downhill until they went out of business. The newer ones, I don't know. I've not shot one of the newest ones, but C tier. Okay.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing really impressive about the Remingtons that I've shot. They weren't bad, but they weren't very good either.
Okay. What about Savage?
I have a hate-love relationship with Savage. It's hard to find a Savage that doesn't shoot well, but man, everything else about it is just poor. The stocks are not impressive. I don't really like the actions. The trigger's good. You got to give it to the trigger, at least the AccuTrigger. I can't say the same about a Savage Axis trigger, but yeah, this might be surprising, but I'm going to put it in the B tier list. Honestly, if again, if they could smooth up their action and make better stocks, they would be an A tier. The rifles just shoot well. Most of them, the vast majority, shoot really well. Has been my experience. How about you?
Oh, I think I like them more than you do. I don't disagree that there's definitely issues with cheap stocks and things like that. But like you said, they typically always shoot pretty well. And I love their catalogs. They have so many cartridges chambered for different rifles, and they're affordable. So I'm a pretty big fan. I'd probably put them in the A, but I think B's reasonable, just
Yeah.
because of the overall quality.
Okay.
What about Tikka?
Okay. I have very little experience with Tikka, but I'll say this. I reviewed a friend's Tikka that was in 270 Winchester, and I was going into it, doing this video for it to show how overrated Tikka was, and then it printed bug hole groups when we shot it. And I was like, okay, I get it. And I don't, it's so rare to see a Tikka that's a lemon or even that has quality control issues. They're just a very good rifle that works. It's not that fancy. It's like a budget version of a Sako, but I've yet to see one that's just bad. So with that being said, I have to put it in the S tier.
So I have been shooting mine the last couple of years, or the last year and a half, I guess. 7mm 08. It's been outstanding. I've had zero issues with it. I love the aftermarket scene too. You can change a lot, and it's easy to change. The action's smooth. So I would agree, S tier, easy.
The only complaint I have about it is the cheap stocks, but that doesn't affect how they shoot. They shoot incredibly well. The action's smooth. The magazine's fine. It's plastic, but it's fine. But they just shoot really well.
I recently shot a Browning X-Bolt Pro in 28 Nosler. That was pretty cool. What's your overall thoughts on Browning?
I think Browning makes good guns. I think they are a bit underrated. I have most of my experience has been with the X-Bolt, not the A-Bolt. And they're solid rifles that will give you sub MOA, give you sub half MOA with some work, hand loading, of course. They're just a very solid, well-built rifle. So I'm going to put Browning in A tier.
Yeah, the only thing it hurts the Browning is the triggers are not that great. On that one
That's
that
true.
I shot, it was an amazing rifle, but the trigger was not good. That was the only thing that kept it down. So yeah, I think A is pretty fair there.
I mean, that Browning X-Bolt and 6.8 Western shot extremely well for you. But as you said, that trigger is just, well, it doesn't live up to its name. They call it a feather something. It's just ridiculous because it's like a 4-pound trigger.
I think I said I shot a 28 Nosler, but you're right. It was a 6.8 Western.
Yeah,
it was a Bergara. Was a 28 Nosler. Sorry about that. Thanks for correcting me.
No problem.
And thanks for watching my videos.
I have nothing bad to say about the Browning. Yeah, the trigger's a little heavy, but I don't know. Switch out the spring or get a custom trigger put into it. So it's not that big of a deal to me. They make accurate rifles.
Yeah, I borrowed that rifle and factory ammo, and it was a very tight group. So that was pretty good. All right, what about Ruger?
People are going to get their pitchforks for this one. I've only had a little bit of experience with the Ruger American Gen 2, and I hated it.
Oh,
absolutely
really?
Hated it. Hated the magazine design. You cannot single feed. You have to feed it from the magazine. I think the magazine is awful. Do the rifles shoot well? That's what I've heard. And it seemed to shoot just fine when I shot it. But that magazine, it puts it in the C tier for me because I don't think they're that accurate. And that magazine design just bumps it down to a C tier for me.
I have not shot Rugers very much at all, so I really can't comment. you're one of the few that I've heard talk bad about them, or not talk bad, but have a negative experience. Most people tend to like them.
Right.
But hey,
Well, the
I'll
problem
go
is the Gen 2 went up by like $200, and I just don't think it's that much better of a rifle than the Gen 1. Sure, it does have a much better stock than the Gen 1, and it comes threaded with the brake, but other than that, yeah, I don't think it's worth $650. Not even close.
And the last one here on your list was Seekins. What's your experience with Seekins?
Like Tika, I think Seekins, they just don't make lemon guns. They don't. Every gun I've seen is just sub MOA, and a lot of times sub half MOA. And my friend Nicholas, that guy's got the unicorn rifle that shoots everything like sub half MOA and a lot of times quarter MOA. And he's even gotten into the teens with factory ammo. It's just insane.
That's a 300 PRC, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's not like it's a 6.5 Creedmoor with little recoil. It's a big Magnum in 300 PRC. And I've shot it. So I can technically put it on the list. I shot it a couple weeks ago and I got half MOA with it. First time shooting it. So it's just, and I've seen other reviews of Seekins and they're always sub MOA. So
now you have a Howa, don't you?
Technically, I guess, if you count the Vanguard as the Howa.
Okay. Gotcha.
So Howa, I would say, is A tier. They just make solid rifles. They're not fancy, but they just work. Just like the Vanguard, it's very rare to see a lemon in a Howa or a Vanguard.
So I've got a couple here that you didn't mention that you've shot that I have. The Bergara, I think, is the smoothest action that I've ever felt. What's your thoughts on just overall?
So I have handled a bar. I've never shot one. So I was at a Western Hunt Expo. So that's how I was able to handle a Bergara. Very smooth action. I have heard mixed results. They're either really good or they're bad. Like really bad.
On accuracy part?
Yes, on accuracy part. I do agree they are very smooth. However, that Mark V titanium action, way smoother than a Bergara.
I recently got a 7 PRC in CVA, and it's been outstanding. The only downside is it's really heavy. It's a heavy gun. It's a long-range hunter version of the CVA Cascade. It's extremely accurate. I really like the gun. I basically am a big fan of that rifle, and I actually might have another one coming too, in a different cartridge. So I'm a big fan of that rifle. The bolt feels a lot like a Ruger American or an XPR or an A bolt. So it's not the greatest,
right?
But I like it overall. And then a CZ. I've got two of those, one in a 204 Ruger and one in a 22, which is not centerfire. The Bergara and the CZ are very similar to me. They're just the fit and finish and the overall looks of it are really good. They're well made. So I'm a pretty big fan of both of those. Do you have any thoughts on this the CVA or the CZ?
I've only heard good things about the CVA Cascade. It's a very budget-friendly rifle that just shoots well. My question for you is, where would you put Bergara, CVA, and CZ? Where in the tier list would you put them?
So I think Bergara, CVA, and CZ are all A tier. Certain models you might get closer to that S tier. With the Bergara, occasional issues with accuracy. I think overall it brings it down slightly, but I think overall they're very solid A tier. Very solid.
Okay. I disagree, but that's okay. But then again, I don't have personal experience with them, so
right.
We'll just have to take your word.
I do have has been really good.
Good.
They're all really good. I think the Bergara is really nice. I really want one, but I have heard the same thing you're saying, that some people get them and they just don't shoot, which is odd because they're known for their barrels, So if there's one company that you would say is the best, and this is factoring in price what you get, the quality control, the options, and all that, and you're going to recommend this to somebody. But what would that one be if you could only pick one company?
Tikka. It hurts me to say that so much.
I thought you might say Weatherby. I didn't know.
No, I think there's less QC issues with Tikka than Weatherby. That's what it comes down to. And I mean, man, it just seems like every Tikka shoots extremely well. It's really impressive what Tikka can do. So because of the price and because of how accurate they are, I think they would be number one for me. Even though I don't even own one, but I have shot quite a few of them. Okay, just 2 of them, but they've been very accurate.
If there's one company that you would say avoid at all cost, if you don't mind, I guess, but what's your thoughts on that?
Oh,
you don't have to say if you don't want to. Fierce. Neither one of us have talked about Christensen because we haven't either one shot him. It's kind of getting a bad reputation. I actually know a guy who's got 2, and he bought those when the company first came out, and they're really good. Like, he really likes them, and they shoot well. But it seems like the last 2 or 3 years, everyone that's shot them on YouTube has horrible problems with them. And they're expensive. Yeah. They're way up there. It seems like they have good components, carbon this and carbon that, but the fit and finish is just terrible. So I don't know.
And the only reason I said Fierce is just because how expensive they are. And it just seems like the QC and the accuracy is either really good or really bad. You're just kind of gambling, when you get one.
I think I would say if you was on a pretty low budget, a CVA or a Tikka would be a pretty safe bet. Probably a Weatherby Vanguard too. I think any one of them is a very safe bet.
Okay, so I know you didn't ask this, but if you asked me what rifle brand would you recommend if your budget for just the rifle was only $600, I would 100% say the Weatherby Vanguard. You can get the synthetic for $550, and it's just a darn good rifle that just shoot. So they have a decent trigger, the bolts just fine. It's relatively smooth, and I don't know, the barrels, they just seem to always shoot well.
One last thing, and then you can get out of here. When it comes to attributes of a gun or traits, is accuracy your number one thing? It probably is. Or would it be like the weight of the gun, or is there something else?
Accuracy, I feel like, is the bar, right? If your gun is not accurate, what's that quote by Townsend Whalen, right? Only accurate guns are interesting. Yeah,
that's true.
It's definitely true. Okay. It sucks to have an inaccurate gun. I've had one in a Mossberg. Oh my gosh, we didn't talk about Mossberg. That's the one I would say you avoid at all costs.
D tier, maybe?
That's a D tier. I'm sorry. I know some people get them to shoot, but mine was awful in a very accurately designed cartridge, 7PRC. It was terrible. So forget what I said about Fierce. Mossberg is my avoid at all costs.
Right. With the Mossberg, the odds of getting a bad one are probably
it's very high.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Fierce, if you watch this video, please forgive me. It's really Mossberg. Yeah,
and I'm hoping that if Winchester watches this video, please just get a little bit better quality control, because I'm a huge fan of the Model 70. I've had some in the past. I don't have one currently, but I would love to get one in perhaps a 6.8 Western. But man, I've heard a lot of bad. So please focus on your quality control.
Yeah. You could say that for most gun companies right now. The quality control has been poor, or more poor. That's terrible English, but you know what I mean.
Is there anything else you want to add, or that we didn't talk about?
I feel like I didn't answer the question because I remembered I shot the Mossberg Patriot. I forgot I owned one.
Mossberg Patriot, I like that.
That's what I called it.
if you haven't subscribed, which I'm sure you have, to Reloading Weatherby, if you haven't, go ahead and do that. I'll have a link in the description. Subscribe to his channel. He's way more consistent than me. He puts out stuff all the time. Is it once or twice a week?
I usually do twice a week.
And subscribe to this channel too if you haven't already. More content like this coming out. I'll try to get Reloading Weatherby back on the channel every once in a while. He's been a big help to my channel overall. So thank you once again, and have a great day and take care.
We'll see you.